Okay, hi, this is the second tutorial on the band or musical artist rebrand, and I'm going to work on the research phase. So for my example, I'm going to choose the Beatles for my band. That means you can't do the Beatles. Um, and so here's the Beatles official site right here. And then the similar bands is going to be Rolling Stones and the Beach Boys. So I'll do the Rolling Stones for the documentation. So there needs to be 7 pieces. I'm just going to copy this out and then just place it in my, I'm in InDesign now. I'm just going to make a little text box here and paste that in so I can remember what I need to do. So the first bit is a brief history. So what I'm going to do actually is just see how I'm going to break down this page. I did a Control-0 so I could see the whole page in front of me. And I'm probably going to have a main content area for larger things and then kind of a sidebar for other things. And I'll make a little gap between my main content and my sidebar area. So I think what I'll do first is grab the logo, Rolling Stones logo, which is this mouth. Now, I don't know how big this is. I think it seems very small. So I might just quickly search just something a little bit larger that I could use. So that's enormous, but that's great. So I'm going to open that up, and then in here I'm going to right click and choose copy image. Then I'll go into InDesign and paste it in place. As you can see, it's ginormous. So I'm going to hold down Shift Option Command on a Mac or Shift Alt Control on a PC and size this down. And I may just put it at the top of this little sidebar area here. Move my picture frame edges within that sidebar. And I'm going to label this logo just to, I'd like you to do this. It makes it really easier on me because I'm going through, I don't know how many students per year looking at 3 bands each and 7 items. So right now I'm using 14 point. I'm probably going to use something a little more generic. I'll just use Myriad Pro. And I'll choose something like just regular. Okay, great. So that's there's my logo. Just copy this over. I'm holding down Shift and Option or Shift and Alt to drag that over. And I'll call this history. And then I'll go, I just found some Beatles brief history. I'm just going to copy it right out of here. And we'll just paste it in this area here. Reduce that size to, oops. Where are we at? 10 over 12. That's the leading space between lines. And that sounds good. It's just like a 10 over 12, and then this is, I think we said 14. Yeah. So it sounds good to me. So what else I need is 3 past albums and a brief summary of tour locations. So I'm probably going to move that down, move this across here, duplicating it again, and I'm going to call this album covers, and I'll call this tour locations. So album covers, I'm going to go online and look up Beatles covers, images, and here's all of them. So I mean, I could just go in here and copy these, but I actually don't love that one, and I probably don't want to base my I mean, this one I like. I think it's a great design. So I am going to copy that one. And I'll go to InDesign and paste that. Paste that in. You know how to size down. I already mentioned how to do that. Okay. And because it's white, let's see if I hide frame edges. If I go up into View and then Extras and hide frame edges, then that gets rid of that. But you can see that you can't tell what that is. So I'll go into my properties. Oops, I don't want to fill. I want just a very light stroke on it of, you know, something like a 25%, just so I can see that something's there. And that still may be a little heavy. I might move that down to 15 or something. And then instead of 1 point, maybe 0.5. Okay, let's go grab a couple others. So I'm happy with that choice. I think this is a pretty awesome cover here. So I'm going to copy that, go to InDesign, paste, and then I'm holding down again the Shift Alt Control. Oops. So this brings up a really good point. What I'm trying to do is, if I do the Shift Option Command or Shift Alt Control on a PC and try to resize this up, it sizes from the center. But here I'm trying to line it up. So you can see that little guideline. So now I'm lined up with the top. I have the spacing I want. And now I'm holding down Shift and maybe Command. Now my bottom's lined up. But notice that if I click on this and hold it, you can see the image that is not included in the frame. And that's a problem. So I can click on that little circle and then size this down holding Shift to get that to fit. Or I'm going to do Control Z to go back. If I go into Properties, you can see on this frame fitting, if I have, let's see, let me just get that selected here. The second one, Fit Content Proportionally. That's a really nice one because what it will do is size everything proportionally, undistorted, and fit it into your frame. So that is a great little tool to remember. I don't need to put a stroke on this because this is white. This shows us where the borders are. So, oh shoot, I'm supposed to do the stones. Gosh, why didn't someone stop me? Okay, let me go back up here. Okay, so I think this one's pretty awesome. I think this one's awesome here. That might be a poster. Okay, so I'm going to copy that, and then I'll go back into InDesign. This will still be easy to fix. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to go up to Edit and choose Paste Into. So it's going to paste the image into that frame. Did it? Probably, but you can't tell. No, it did not paste it into the frame. Oh well. We'll make this work very quickly. Put that right over it. Hold down Shift. Size that to the right size, and then we'll fit proportionally. Over and get the next one. Parodies. No. Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to copy that, and then now this one it should do edit paste into. There it worked. Okay, and then so I didn't have to redo the frame or anything. Fit proportionally, I might put a black stroke on that at 15 or so. That looks great. And then I turn on my guide so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I kind of went over a little too far with this, so I'm going to try to split the difference. Great. And then I'm going to go grab another one, which that looks kind of cool. So I'm going to copy that. Now I'm going to InDesign, select it, select the frame, edit, paste into, and then choose fit content proportionally. I like how those kind of mirror each other. That's awesome. Okay, so let's pretend, I mean I got the Beatles here, but let's pretend we got the Rolling Stones. I won't give you that that courtesy, but just so I can get going on this. I'm going to go into Chrome and go into the Rolling Stones. This is a great one to screen grab, so I'm going to make I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to make their new screen grab option here. And down at the bottom, I'm going to click Capture. And then on the very right corner, I'm going to choose Save to Clipboard. I'll go into InDesign, paste it in place, reduce that down in size. And then we're going to have to move this down and call this website. Pages maybe. Fit that. Perfect. Go back into, and let's look at live or news. Yeah, that looks great. So my same thing came out, capture, right click, save to clipboard, go into InDesign. I'm going to move this down a bit and then choose edit, paste in place, and then I'm going to size this. Oops, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant size, edit, paste into. Then I'm going to choose this one. Great. And lastly, I'll do this one more time. InDesign is great, where it told me this space is the same as that space, so that's pretty sweet. Then go in here and see what the store looks like. Don't love that. Let's go to live, social. Oh, I see. Sure, let's do this one. So capture, right click, save to clipboard, go into here, and then with that in place, I'm going to edit, paste into, and then this little fit content, frame to content proportionally. So now I have my albums, my website, tour locations. Let's take a look at that. How about maybe tours? And this is going to be massive. So here's the chronology. Starts in 62 in London. And finally there's a British tour. There's a bunch of British tours, American, Scandinavian, Scottish, Pacific. Man, there's a lot of tours. So what you'd want to do is just kind of summarize these. So what I'm going to go back into InDesign and first toured England and US, then began touring the world from tours, let's see, toured from, what years were they touring again? 2019, and they started in 62. Wow. 1962 to 2019. Okay. So that's that. So we have 4 of the items. We need a logo, we have that. Swatches of the band's color palette. And so let's go into here, go to the Rolling Stone site. Now, one thing I mean, as they change albums, the colors change, but notice the red, the black are consistent. This yellow mouse over is consistent. So we have black, red, white, and this yellow. A lot of times if you roll down here, you can see if there's other colors that are part of their site, not necessarily part of their album. So if we were doing this one would be red, green, black, white. However, this is a tour, and it's not, this is, their homepage is a little more stable. So I'm going to stick with the yellow, red, and black. So here, let me show you a quick tip on how to capture color and from Photoshop and put it into, find what the CMYK is. Let me resize my Photoshop down quite a bit here, and I'm just going to create a new item. Doesn't matter what. Okay, so here's my first color, and what I'm going to use is my eyedropper, and I'm going to click inside my Photoshop document, and you can see this little circle that comes up, and every time I move over a new color, that top half of the inner circle changes. So you can see it changing there. But if I continue, so here's what I want to show is color, let's see. Yeah. So if wherever I go, the color will pick up wherever my mouse is. And if I click inside my document and then move it outside, it will select colors from outside, like from a website or another application. So here I found the red that I want, and I'm going to put it on an RGB slider so I know 196, 47, 29. Then I can go into here. Let's add this. Call this colors, and we'll just make a kind of a rectangle. And then if we go up into our colors, I'm going to choose the RGB because that's what we had. And then I can't remember it because it's been just a little too long. 196, 47, 29. 196, 47, 29. So there's my red. And I'm going to duplicate this over. And then I probably should, since I'm using this as a reference, write down the RGB for that. And you don't need to put in RGB 196, 47, 29. And with if you're just having 3 numbers in there, you know that that is your, RGB values. So I'm going to duplicate this over with each color, and then I'm going to go back to the two things I need. So Photoshop, and grab that yellow. There it is, right there. 206, 166, 60. 206, 166, 60. And keep it in here. $166.60, is that right? Yes. Okay. And then we'll go grab a couple other colors. So the black, probably black is sometimes black, but not always. So this is 26, 29, 27. 26, 29, 27. And then 26, 29, 27. And it seemed like 26, 29, 27. Okay, that looks a little bit better. And oh, and then we just have white, which is, let me just double check. I think it's like 000. Oh, 255. That's right. 255. Lights on, right? Lights always on, all on. To get that 0, lights all off. To get change that to white. And then I'm going to put a little border around it so I can tell something is there and going on. Great. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the last little bit is going to be target audience. So the target audience is really, this is a brief description of the band's target audience. Include demographics or show some of the some understanding of your audience. So we're going to look at Rolling Stone target audience and see what they have to say. Oh, Rolling Stone band. That was. So this is characteristics of Beatles versus Rolling Stones band or fans. That might be interesting. So I'm going to see what they have to say. Beatles versus the Stone fans. So the Rolling Stones like Pinterest. They like Call of Duty. They like Touch better than The Walking Dead. Like NBA versus soccer. And the Yankees and the Celtics. Roku, Grubhub. That's really funny. So they're getting really specific on here. Nike and Macy's, there's, oh geez. Okay. Okay, so honestly, to be really so if you're a fan of one of these bands, it might be easier. If you can't find anything, it might be great to just like write what you think about them. And so, I mean, since the Stones have been around for so long, their target audience, I mean, they go from boomers through Gen Y and millennials, I think. And among all incomes and races, I believe. And that might be subject to change, and incomes, races, nationalities. Just based on where they toured, right? So you got to get money when you go tour, and they're not going to tour in a spot where people have, aren't going to buy tickets. So if we wanted to, at this point, I'm going to keep the same layout for all of them, but I might just move all of these down a bit. And, if I wanted to, I could put up here Rolling Stones. Might use, oops, I need to do that. Okay, what's this? Area Pro. I might use just regular. And what you want to do on these type of titles is find out which is your longest title and make that fit, and then make all the other ones the same size. So they're going to use less and less. So if Rolling Stones is my longest, then I would make this, whatever size this is. This is 72. So when I did the Beatles, they would be 72, but they would only be like this long. And if I did the Beach Boys, they might be this long, right? So that's kind of the idea. And I'll just clean up where my text boxes go. Just kind of move things up. I might, just to make things look a little bit neater perhaps, is just put a little stroke in here. Possibly. So that's it. So, and then what I would do is like select everything here, copy it, and then I'll go on to my second page and select it, and then choose Edit, Paste in Place. And then I'll go to my third, click, Edit, Paste in Place. And then, this is obviously going to be Beach Boys. Oops, maybe the Beach Boys, just like the Rolling Stones, but, and this is going to be the Beatles. And then I'll go in and change all the albums and change the logo, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so last little bit is this last page is going to be the Brainstorm. And I've talked about this, I've demoed in class, and the idea is you want to come up with this, you want to first a topic. So maybe for me, the rolling. So if that was my sentence, my statement, right? Then what I'd want to do is say, I'm going to use, Rolling Stones, anything I can think of with Rolling Stones, and we could generations, and then we could put, maybe there might be a better words for Kinks, that's kind of Elvis-y, so they might be the, I don't know what, anyway, so whatever you choose, then you do Brainstorms Rolling Stones for the King or whatever name comes up, and then generations, and then you use those for your thumbnails. And this right here is your documentation that you save as a PDF and turn in. Okay, and that does it. Let me know if you have any questions, but this is the end of video 2.